Okay then, Duncan, I've had a couple of days to digest Wembley. What's your memories and thoughts of that day?
Well, it all came and went so quick, didn't it? And there's one thing that I look back and I still see that goal going in, and I just think it could have been prevented. I know there was a lot of tired legs on the park, but that's when you've got to show your true grit, and you've got to concentrate. It's been the bane of our season, really, hasn't it? Lost so many goals on a set piece, so it was disappointing that, and certainly with about 40 seconds to go, because I did feel that it should have gone to a penalty shootout, and I quite fancied Alan Marriott in the penalty shootout, to be honest with you. And I did speak to Coops. Actually, Coops didn't fancy a penalty shootout, unfortunately. Excuse me. But I mean, on reflection, you've got to take the positive out of things. You really have. And I felt very low as a person. Not being able to win the trophy for Mansfield Town, and especially the way they lost it the way we did. But football is cruel. We're not the only team to have been on the end of a result like that. I've watched the Vars game, and I thought the team that lost that game should have won the game, to be honest with you. But again, like I say, it's cruel, and you got to, when Lady looks your way, you've got to take it. But I think on reflection, really, I just think we've done well as a team to get to Wembley, and I'm sure the fans did have a great time out. So I know obviously it wasn't they didn't want to see obviously us lose in the final, but I've seen a lot of happy people and a lot of good things were said. On the road to Wembley, I mean, I was getting phone calls all the time and from different people saying, the whole of the M1 was covered in the blue and yellow, and we had a fantastic following, great support for the lads. Certainly a lot more than Darlington brought, and more vocal than Darlington, and it was heartbreaking in the end, because I remember just looking up at the board and just like seeing our fans. I think you could probably hear a pin drop in our end, to be honest with you, although Darlington were very vocal. I just looked at the faces of the people and the disappointment, and I really felt for them, and I felt it personally. But we've got to kick on and we've got to move on, and that's what's got to happen. But like I say, I think you've got to be happy that you've gotten to Wembley, because I think it was a good achievement to get to Wembley.
And the players, you saw their reactions at the end of the game, pure misery from a lot of them. I mean, the point now is to build on that, get to Wembley again, or be successful in the future, so you don't feel that way again.
Yeah, but of course the other thing is I did say to the players at the end of the game, when I sat them down in the dressing room afterwards, and sometimes you have to learn things like that about defeat, because it does teach you a lot as a person, and you go one or two ways, don't you? You sink or you swim. You can let it, it can harbour in you, and it can become like a cancer to you, and you don't quite get over things like that. But you've got to show your true mark as a man, and you've got to get over it, and you've got to look forwards, and that's what we've got to do now. We've got another season now. We don't want to just be an also ran in this league. We want to be challenging for all the things that you want to challenge for at this football club, and that means you've got to finish higher than 13th in the league. It wasn't good enough. I know it wasn't good enough. My players know it wasn't good enough. So I've got to change that, and that's what I'm going to do.
You're speaking at the moment like you will be in charge in August. What is the situation with you?
Well, I mean, I know it's been rumored, and I think things were mentioned on the radio the other day. But I'm going to speak. I'm meeting with the chairman later on to finalise everything, and hopefully, I'll still be in the job. If I am in the job, then obviously I need to know what my shopping list is, because we do know that if we can procure the ground, then the chairman has said quite openly in the press and in the programmes that he'll give me £2 million to spend. Failing that, you're looking at probably 500 grand again. Now that changes your shopping list, because all of a sudden, you're not shopping at Asda now, you're shopping at Harrods, aren't you? That's the difference, and I need to know that. So obviously, we're sensible with the budget, because I've got to bring in the right people, and I need to start. If I'm in charge of this job next season, we need to be up and running straight away from the word go. And it started really today for me, because I've prepared everything as if whether I'm in the job or there's a new manager coming in. I've got my fitness coach in there now. We've done all the pre-programs for during the closed season. That's all been done. Looking at obviously all the pre-season friendlies. So I've got to carry on and organise the way I need to. Because obviously you can't say if you just got to be proactive and go for it. And then if whatever happens, that happens. But I would always want to leave the football club, regardless of whatever happens, whether I've got the contract or not, in a good position in terms of like the organisation for next season. I've got a lot of interest from a lot of good players, and I just hope that I have the opportunity to bring in what I want to bring in. I think what the team that we had, I think they did as good as they could do for the players we had. But I felt certain areas were certainly not strong enough. But it was I couldn't really change it at the time. That I wanted to change it, to be honest with you, with the right people. And then obviously we wasn't sure about what's happening with the football ground. The chairman to throw a load of money at the football club, and we might not have been at the football club. So there was a lot of sort of negativities hanging around me, which really didn't help me make decisions. And I am a decision maker normally, but certain things I had no control of. But if I get control of it now, between now and the start of the season, I've got a lot of players that want to come to this football club. Of good calibre, but again, there's going to be a lot of football players being branded around now at this moment in time. You don't just jump in and buy the first thing you see because you say, oh, he's decent, unless they're really, really true, good track records and that, then you would go for them. But there'll be a big, there'll be a list coming out of all the players that have been released. So you've got to take your time and you've got to shop diligently, and hopefully bring the right calibre of person to the football club, and that's what's important.
The majority of the squad out of contract this summer. Does that mean there will be wholesale changes?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the next couple of days, that's what I'm doing. I'm talking to players. That I don't think they're the players that to get me to the level that I want to get to, and that's no disrespect to those players. I think they've done the best that they can do, but sometimes I need a little bit more, and that little bit more is that little bit more quality sometimes, and the concentration levels. And all those things, because I can't fault them for their efforts, but sometimes they're not good enough, and I need better to get me out this league. And just having looked at the likes of the Luton Towns, Wimbledon, and obviously Crawley, who won it, you can see why they're up there where they are, because they have got, pound for pound, they've got the best players in this league.
You look at next season, there's Alfreton coming up, there's Lincoln coming down. It's good to have a few local derbies now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and as long as you win them. But yeah, I think it's great. It's great for the area of Mansfield, and it's great for our fans because they don't really get a home derby now, do they? So I think that always creates a nice atmosphere at the football club. So and I'm pleased for that. I'm not pleased for Lincoln, but obviously I'm pleased for Alfreton. So yeah, I look forward to that if I'm still in charge.
It all needs to be resolved though as soon as possible, doesn't it? All this uncertainty that's going round, it all needs to be sorted out.
I mean, I want it put to bed in in the next day or so, because obviously I've got things I need to sort out, and I'm sure the chairman has as well. So let's get it sorted out. Let's get it announced one way or the other, so the fans understand and they know, and so do I, and so does the chairman, and we can push this club forward.
Of injured players, is anybody needing operations or anything now?
Yeah, you got Kevin Samworth is still out. He's back in with Jason tomorrow, so obviously he's been looked at. Rhys Day will obviously finish his time off at Lillishall. He's getting a lot stronger and a lot better, and he's looking a lot fitter as well. So obviously he's working the right ways up there, because I think he'll be a good acquisition back to the football club. A big, strong centre half who you get him right, get him fit. I think he's good for the football club. But apart from that, obviously Paul Connor needs the rest on that calf now. A lot of people said that should I played him, should I not played him, but I had no option but to play him. I didn't have enough to put on the bench not to play him, and I had to do it diligently as well, because had I put him on the bench and I had a player injured and put him on in the first minute and he broke down in the first minute, that would have been a bad managerial decision to make. Ask any manager, ask any coach, ask anyone involved in football. If you've got a player that you're uncertain about, you've got to start them. You don't bring them on.
Adam Murray, he'll be okay for pre-season as well.
Yeah, Muzza. The great thing about with Muzza, he's not had a pre-season for 3 years, and believe me, it's going to be a pre-season. It certainly won't be easy, Ozzy. All my experience I've had taking many teams from the Premiership pre-season, it's going to be very, very hard. It'll be tempered with the right amount of work rate and recovery and rest, but they're certainly going to know that they're going to do a pre-season, because I felt. When I think back at it, obviously I know that when David was here before, he had the say really on what they wanted really to be doing in pre-season. I can put my bent on it now, and what I want is when we're up and running. I don't want players burning out in January. I want players to be able to peak at the right times, and if you do your programme with what we call periodisation, that's how you do it, and that's why certain teams look stronger towards the end. But you've also got to have a look at, and you do have to look at it, the accumulation of games we had, and it does have an effect. It does have an impact on you. But that's why you've got to make sure your training regimes are right. And obviously, I'm going to be sitting down with the fitness coach. Well, I've sat down with them already. I'm going to finalise things and dot the I's, cross the T's on the fitness side, because I'm going to have a big impact on the fitness training. Not just my fitness coach, but I'm going to have a big impact on the fitness training between now and the start of the season, because it's so important and it can set you up for a real good start to your season. There's going to be a lot of science involved in it, because that's the way forwards. Sometimes I think people look at players, and if you don't put them on heart rate monitors, everything becomes very subjective, and you don't have any positive feedback, and I need that. So if you put them on heart rate monitors, I can see how hard they're working with their hearts. So that's important. That's really important. And obviously, I'm going to try and get away to do maximum heart rate testing, so we know the players' current levels of fitness before we start the season up, and when I know where they should be and where they should be during the training sessions if I monitor the heart rates. So yeah, we'll go very scientific, but for the right reasons, because that's the way clubs are working this day and age. Things have changed in the game. Players have become fitter. Even at our level, players have become fitter. So we need to make sure that we book with the trends as well.
Do you think the side were fit enough this year?
I thought we started to falter over the last couple of months, Matty. I felt that I think that period, through when we had all the games, and we were training indoors, and it does. I'm not making no excuses, but it does with certain players. The impact on the joints and stuff like that, and you tend to fatigue a lot easier and a lot quicker. Then we had that. We just had a backlog of all those games. It doesn't help. We didn't get enough recovery, and then imagine what I did with them wasn't enough recovery, because to play that amount of football, you're asking a lot from the human body. There's a lot of demands on it. But what you have to do is if your pre-season's right, and you periodise through your the season when it starts as well, because again I'll have an impact on that now, because I'll be the manager, hopefully, and so there we go, hopefully again. So then I can have a big impact on that, on how much work we need to do, how much rest we need to have. It's very difficult to step in halfway through a season and just go bang and change everything, because people get used to doing certain things, and you've got to be careful to make radical changes. You really have. And I felt that when I took charge of the team, the dressing room was bad enough as it was, and last thing I wanted to do is start going in there jumping like a sergeant major, which I've been known to do in the past, and upset the apple cart. We had to, first thing was to get people back on side, get the dressing room settled, to try and get that that camaraderie back amongst the players, and that was really important. So it was like playing catch up all the way, to be honest with you, Matt. But now I know that if I get the green lights, I can have a total say on it. And then if I'm not good enough and we don't start up and running, and we're not up there competing, then that's down to me. And then I know what happens. Then you lose your job.
Are you? You mentioned there that you've not had the chance to do your own thing, and your hands have been a little bit tired of it. Do you think that because of that, you are now, if you get the job, going to have to win the fans over?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I've always praised our fans. I know there's a group of fans that a lot of the fans sent me lovely messages, emails. I've had so many messages, and a lot of the fans spoke to me at Wembley. I know there's a minority of fans, and I know there is, and I know I know where they are and where they stand, and they have a pop at me most times. Now I don't know why that is. Perhaps they want a bigger name in. That could be the reason. But if we'd have gone to Wembley and we'd have won it, I don't think I think that might have been a bit different. And I'm sure those fans that were booming, they were down at Wembley and they'd have been cheering. But yes, Matt, you're right. You have to win fans over. The only way you can win fans over is by winning games.
Yeah.
But then you have no divine right to win all the games unless you have all the resources to win the games.
Do you think that the fans who have criticised it is unfair then? I mean, is it frustrating for you?
It is, because there's times when I've been, they've had a go at me and I've come off and won a game.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to do anything like that, you've got to certainly wait for the 90th minute, haven't you? I mean, look at Newport, 3-0 down. I was getting slaughtered. Yeah. Came back 3, so I got a standing ovation. And then there's other games, like the Gateshead. It's games like that, But I would never stop, and I'm not even in a position to even suggest it, and I wouldn't want to suggest it. Football supporters are the bloodline of any football club, and so they should be, and their opinions count. So I understand that certain people might not like the shape I might play in a team or this, but
Yeah.
bearing in mind, you know, there's an old saying really, and it was told to me by a very experienced manager. He said to me, the fans always pick the winning team because the winning team never plays, because they all individually pick their team, what their team would be.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's a fan's prerogative to have a go at the team, have a go at the manager. That's entirely up to them. But I think as long as it's done the right way, not a vindictive way, because you know sometimes, Matt, I've come across the pitch and you know fans have not just been had a go at me. I've had my family mentioned and stuff like that, and I just don't think that's right.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that's right. You know, by all means have a go at me or have a go at Paul Hall or all the players, because we're the ones that have to win the games. But when it comes to family and stuff, I don't think that needs to be said, and it's upsetting. It really is upsetting. But again, it's a minority. It's because we've got very, very good football supporters, and we've seen that when they turned out in their droves down at Wembley.
Yeah, I know. I've sort of spoken to people who say I'm not going to renew my season ticket if Duncan Russell's named manager. How does that make you feel?
What can I say, Matt? I'm just, you know, I can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
I can't control that, Matt.
Yeah.
But if they're not gonna do that, and then we get off to a flying start and we're up there, they'll come back to the football club.
Obviously, you're still talking to players. Have any been told at the moment that they're free to go?
Well, I'll be doing that this afternoon, so obviously I don't want to say too much on that at the moment. But yes, there'll be players that'll be going, players that'll be coming in, and it's like the next 2 days now. Because obviously I'm not going to announce nothing in the press until I speak to players first, because it wouldn't be very wise of me to do that, and it'd be disrespectful to the players. So I've got to do that first of all, which I will do, and then obviously you know look forward to getting us right for the start, because a lot happens when a football club shuts down. A lot of people think that's it. Well, it's not. There's a lot of work, a lot of stuff to go on beyond the scenes now. Paul and I, you know, we've been at it since well, a few weeks back, really. You know, eyeing things up and talking to people and trying to, you know, be positive and be proactive, because you have to be in the game. You've got to be that way. I've spoke to managers as well, a couple of managers in the second division as well, players that I've been looking at. So yeah, I'm just trying to put a plan together and then hopefully see it through to its fruition.